All right, so we continue with the resolve to help us all start the year wise and right, learning about and taking timely decisions as individuals and especially as a family to get our finances right. So today it's all about investing the right way.
Yes, it's a three-part life-saving conversation punctuated with tech talk, keep fit, and more. Farrell joins the show later, as usual, with the lifestyle segment and to take a look at investment trends as well as generational wealth.
Generational wealth.
Yes.
Well, all right, so let's take a snappy look at significant happenings, John, in the week. One that really broke my heart. You know, actually, there was another one about a younger child who was beaten mercilessly.
Yes.
And this one about the 17-month-old child that led
19 months.
19 months that led to his death.
Yes.
And it got me thinking that what is a child that young really doing without the attention, without the love and the care and the protection of the immediate family members?
It's really unfortunate, but these things really, I don't know how we're going to go about it. But something has to be done.
I think in developed worlds, children don't get to school until like 5 years.
I didn't start school till I was about.
But please don't take. John, this is serious talk, you know.
till I could put my hand to touch my ear.
Well, it doesn't have to be that bad.
I think it's inhuman, you know, to put children through that kind of stress at that time of their lives and then subject them to this kind of...
And we're beginning to get this news almost every day. 3 weeks ago, one, you know, owner of a school buried another small girl and all of that. I don't know if at some point there has to be some kind of law, you know, about how old should a child be let out of the house to go to school.
Yeah, I think...
What's the proper age?
Something. How old?
Yeah.
A child should be allowed to at least, you know, settle down mentally.
True.
And be prepared to take in that rigor or
when I think about it, I shudder, you know. It's like what these children go through before they finally pass out, the pain. And that feeling like...
Well, it's something for us to talk about, not only government, all of us. I think we need to have a resolve on how to protect the little ones, you know, before they get subjected.
And the fuel scarcity.
How
far?
Do you know that somehow or the other, I have tuned off.
That's Nigerian.
I refuse to be stressed by it.
That is Nigerian.
And then I think what again happened was I identified 1 or 2 filling stations where sanity is applied in the dispensing of fuel. Yes, you may see a long queue, but you're sure that if you stay on that one long queue, that there is sanity. They're not selling into kegs. The pump areas are kept sane, no rush, no nothing. So twice or so that I've had to fill my tank. I think it hasn't been too much.
In fact, if you get to the streets of Lagos, you wouldn't believe that there's fuel scarcity. Because the volume of, you know, vehicles, the number of vehicles on the street is like, how do they do it? Nigerians are awesome.
Yes.
Nigerians are awesome.
Okay, Helen.
All right. This is your show today with John and Helen, and premium value must be placed on life. You know, we just talked about this young children whose life are just unnecessarily and dangerously and wickedly cut short, you know, before they even start. How on earth did we get here? I keep asking myself. We have practically become mindless, with no values, only evil and money-seeking people. Like at all costs, let us get the money at all costs. Ritual killings here and there, and it's
amazing. No. Well, one thing we must do is get valuable information and take responsibility, and that's why we're here every week providing the roadmap. Today, we engage you on how to invest right. And 2 guests will help us open the door.
And the first guest is already seated here. And she's a pretty lady.
Yes.
And she says to me, I have all the answers. I hope she does. She's an astute finance professional. She's passionate about providing financial advisory services to strengthen wealth growth, preservation and transferal skills, financial analyst with over 13 years cognate experience, over 13 years across commercial banking, investment, private wealth and portfolio management.
That's quite intimidating, isn't it? Well, our first guest, simply put, is a certified accountant and member of the Association of Certified Chartered Accountants UK, and currently a private wealth manager who is driven with passion for value addition and value addition, yes, and impact. Welcome with us to the show, Mojisola Olorunfemi. Good to have you on board, madam.
Thank you
welcome.
so much.
And power to the women.
Thank you so
Since
much.
we've been talking money, you know, incidentally, we had a lot of female resource persons
Helen,
come.
you're going that way.
I must go that
God.
way.
This male-female war is never going to end.
Don't worry, you're good.
So you're welcome. Welcome
Thank
to
you
the
so
show.
much, John.
Welcome.
Thank you again.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us. We do have a big job to do today, and that's to help the viewers learn more about investments.
Okay.
Once again, thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So let's dive in. And where do we start from? Investing right may sound easy to the ear, but what does it take to invest right?
Okay. So when we want to talk about investing right, I think it's also proper for us to know what investing is all about. Because, you know, you have to invest before you can think about doing it the right way. So investing basically is just, you know, setting out some financial assets to put, you know, in a vehicle that will yield value over time or give you a financial return, whatever it is over time. At least you have a goal, you have something in mind, you want to achieve value basically. So now talking about investing right.
Yes.
For you to invest right, there are so many things to put into consideration before you even start investing at all. And that has to do with, you know, what is actually your investment goal? Why do you want to set out, you know, investing? Why do you want to set out some funds or some assets or whatever it is and put in? So that is the number one thing, the goal. Then another thing that you also have to consider is your risk appetite. How well can you... Your risk appetite. Or we can call it risk tolerance.
Okay.
How well can you take on risks? Are you someone that is risk averse? Are you someone that can, you know, that you love, you have, you know, high appetite for risks, you know? So that will also, you know, determine that. Then also, how old are you? What is your age? You have to also, you know, put that also into consideration. Then another key thing that you also need to look at it, you know, is what is inflation doing right now? Because for everything that if you want to invest right, you have to beat inflation. If you don't beat the inflation, you're actually getting negative return on your investment.
So we've taken the basics for investing right. Okay. We will break down all those other areas that you've talked about. Yes.
I hope I've not been too
No.
That's what was just an overview and very appropriate.
We just have to hold your
Okay.
Okay, so you talked about risk.
Yeah.
One of the questions you must ask yourself.
Exactly.
So we do know that investment is about taking risk with one's resources, hard-earned resources. Now, what are the types of investments that are available?
Okay.
You know, what are the opportunities in terms of investments that we can launch into?
Okay, so for the types of investments available, you know, it's numerous. So we have to think about bonds, think about stocks, think about mutual funds as well. We have other money market instruments also, like treasury bills. We have some that are also, they call them capital market instruments. You know, well, stock is a capital market instrument. Bonds is also. We have commercial papers. You know, we have alternative investment. We have real estate. You can even invest in gold. Yeah. So there are so many. There are numerous.
Invest in gold.
Yes, you can actually. It's part of, it's part of investment. It's part of,
So if
various investments.
If I can break into Helen's gold...
that's a lot of money. Yeah. And if you give it some few years,
so you should break in
it's a
and
lot
steal
of...
I don't think that's allowed at all.
That's interesting.
Okay, and you also talked about another question you need to ask yourself is how old are you? And I'm wondering why. What has age got to do with investment?
Okay, so now, so that also now brings us back to the risks that I talked about, the risk tolerance. For instance, I'm a young graduate. I'm just about 19, 20 years old. The level of risks I can take is actually much more than the risks that someone that is already 40, 45, can take. Oh, okay, let me talk.
Because it's beginning to sound like you're talking to me.
So perhaps you have about, so apart from even the time that you have to your retirement, perhaps you have about 5 years to retirement and all that. Definitely cannot be taking,
as much risk.
And you cannot say that you want to put all your portfolio perhaps in equity, that's stocks, For someone that is just coming in now, I can say, okay, I'm 20 years old. They've been talking about crypto investments. I can take such risks and put some crypto in my portfolio. But for someone that is already old, you have to also consider your health. If the shock comes, how well can you absorb the shock? How well can you take it?
Well,
so that's why I spoke about. I talked about age. Yeah.
But one thing is clear. At whatever point, young, middle age, or old,
exactly.
When you go into investment,
shocks are likely to happen.
Shocks will happen, but the how do you say, the what's in it for me factor comes in. So could you tell us, if I decide, even at my
old age,
my geriatric position, if I decide today that okay, now I want to go headlong, what are the benefits that I should look for?
Okay,
or that I should expect?
Okay, so the benefits of investing, basically, So one key thing, at least for me, I would say that when you are an investor or when you start investing, there's this kind of sense of fulfillment that it gives you. Perhaps you might not even be so wealthy, you might not have so much money, but you have this kind of self-satisfying and like you have arrived, you are okay, and it also helps you to be relatively liquid. Liquidity is one of the things that investment also offers. Perhaps you've invested your funds in there are some assets that they call financial assets. I think I mentioned it, that they are they are as good as holding cash. For instance, you put your funds in an equity, maybe like you buy stocks of MTN or maybe like Zenith Bank. Of course, that if anything happens that you need money, you can easily dispose of it and you get your cash. If you put your money in fixed deposit also, you can call it at any time and that you have money. So liquidity is one of the benefits of investing. Then it also affords you the ability to buy anything that you want. If you have money, definitely, perhaps you have a fixed income like a bond somewhere, and that this bond pays you your coupon every 6 months, maybe every June or December. You can actually plan against the income that you're expecting from that particular investment that you've made without you necessarily putting hands into your capital. That your capital is there, then the coupon, which is the income, is coming in at a particular time. So you can actually plan towards it. Oh, I need to make a trip to Maldives, I need to make a trip to Dubai and all that. So all those things, it will help you to afford whatever you need to, at every point in time. Then also, like I mentioned about inflation the other time, people keep complaining the prices of things are going up and all that. If you invest, in an instrument that, that is, they call it inflation hedge, or, that can beat the inflation, perhaps you are not even feeling the inflation because you are getting return. The return you are getting is actually even higher than, the current inflation of the country. Currently, the inflation of Nigeria is about 15.6 as of January 2022. And, that will help you. So if you invest in, if you put some money in an investment that will give you maybe about 16% or 17%, let's say, that yes, you have beaten inflation to a certain point. So even if people are, of course, it will affect everybody, the hike in price and all that. But you know that yes, you have some money somewhere and you can afford to buy anything without.
Because you're almost convincing me to change my ways.
No, but John, that's really key, investing so that the shock that comes from inflation.
It's a safety card.
Yes,
Exactly,
safety card,
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the word.
Yeah.
I don't know why my mind it stayed on risk.
Okay.
You know, because a lot of us really don't get all of the information before we launch into
So,
a lot
yeah.
of things that we do. And since this concerns the finance of the family and the stability of the family, I think we should talk more about the risk. What are the specific risks that are associated with investment? People should know before they go into it. And are there risks, peculiar to different kinds of investment, like bonds, like, for example?
Yeah. Thank you. Great question. At least we've spoken about the benefits. We should talk about the risks and all that. It's not all rosy. You should understand that, there will be hiccups, there will be, the risks that are associated with investing. For instance, we have what we call market risk. So I don't want to be too technical.
No, I understand.
No,
I
okay,
feel
good.
it.
I like that. So, when you're talking about the market risk, that means it's a kind of risk that there's nothing you can do about it. For instance, there was a time in the country that, interest on treasury bills was doing about 14%, I think that was 2016 or so, it went so high. And it was, a very good one for everybody. And, of course.
For those who knew about treasury bills.
Yeah, for those who knew, and for those who knew about investing, actually, so exactly. And the market risks, you cannot change that kind of risks. Now, last year, 2021, the rate went, as low as, at some point it was even doing 1%, 1.5. So that kind of risk, you cannot change it. You understand? It's a market risk. And there's nothing you can do. And because of the kind of return that Treasury bills is offering, being a federal government, of course, instruments and all that, and most times other instruments are being measured, they will just ask their own, what they call premium on it, which are the risk premium that, okay, if Treasury bills is offering 3%, okay, let me put the risks of my business, the risks of anything, maybe I'll put additional 2-3% and all that. People will look at it. And so that kind of risk, you cannot, perhaps you want to invest, you have to go that, okay, this is my portfolio this year, I expect it to return about 20%. Then that kind of thing happens. Of course, there's nothing you can do.
Okay.
So that's the kind of risk. There's also what they call a liquidity risk also. And that is why that diversification is very key, is very important when you're investing. So talking about liquidity risks, you have money.
Mean, diversification. What does that
Putting
mean?
your funds in various instruments or various assets.
It's like having multiple streams of income.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you're right.
I
So
told
now,
you I was
so now
you do
you have.
shares, you do
You do shares, you do bonds, you do real estate, you do mutual funds and all that. You know that, like I said, some are very close to cash.
Yeah.
Like real estate, you can't easily convert it to cash. There are times you have a property you want to sell for years, 5 years, it's still there. And that can actually cause a liquidity risk. So as an investor, I put all my money in real estate. I have like 50 million or something. I just bought. Yes, real estate is very good to actually beat inflation because, it's always beats the inflation. Exactly, always appreciating. But now I need money for an emergency. Can you sell the property today and get the cash today? There are times that you put a property in the market and 6 years they are still there. You've not seen a buyer. So that's another risk, the liquidity risk, which you can actually curb by try to diversify your portfolio. Yeah. That is why it's different from the market risk that I mentioned earlier, because that market risk, you can actually do nothing about it. Then also concentration risks as well. You have money you want to invest, then maybe you now use about 80% to go and buy shares. Remember some couple of years ago that something happened in the market and the equity market just went down. So you can't do that also. Yeah, it's good to to take those risks and all that, but you have to balance it. You have to. It's very important.
Well, you will need your crystal ball in front
Is there
of
a better option? Is there a way of knowing which is
or
the
something
they really want to do?
Yes.
So
You can always have the mind that, okay, there's always a real one to do. But number one thing is what I've discussed about, which is diversification.
Yes.
So if you have
Don't
money,
put
you
all
put
your
some,
eggs in one
don't
basket.
do it at all. You put some in equity, you put some in bonds, you put some in real estate. Yes, go. You put some in mutual fund. just make sure that your portfolio is like that.
spread it all
If you see any dollar denominated investments as well, just to hedge against
Okay.
devaluation and and the weak currency that we have in this in Nigeria, you can also do some.
Yes.
But you have to. That is the
Well,
best.
you speak like somebody who is
Diversification.
hardened. Your risk threshold
It's still
is quite so. There are so many of us who are still timid. Now, investments, of course, investments suggest that one has resources that
Exactly.
you want to put to better use. What happens when, one sees the need and still believes there will be, some level of disposable income, but you are still timid. So many people say, look, I'd rather just
keep my
leave
money
me
in the
where
bank.
keep me where I am. I don't want to lose it. How do we get people to move?
absolutely, and that is very key. A lot of people. I
We
won't
still
say
have
us,
cold-
because I've
cold
put
feet.
myself. I used to be in that category,
Okay.
but I'm not there anymore. You
What got
understand?
you out of there?
When I started investing, because you have to start. If you don't start, you will not know anything.
And you have to be
And you don't need,
prepared for pitfalls and all of that.
no, like I told you, there are pitfalls. It's not rosy all the time. But there are still investments that you can put that that irrespective of whatever happens, your capital is safe.
Okay.
You understand? There are some that your capital is not safe, like equity. It can be eroded, and
Okay.
you won't see anything. But there are some that, come what may, your capital, the principal that you've invested, is safe. You understand? So now, coming to thinking that you need so much money to invest, to start investing, it's not correct. And it's so good now that, everything has been, investing has been made simpler and easier for people that, that really want to invest and start investing.
Yes.
For those mutual funds I've spoken about, if you have 5,000 naira, 10,000 naira, you
as
can
little as
invest.
that?
Yes, you can invest in mutual funds.
Okay.
So many companies, FBN Quest
some
and the
people
rest
will
of.
come and say, if you put 50,000 naira
You
today,
get 1
by
million the next day.
next week, 2 weeks
Yes,
time,
I was
you will
going to
get
go there.
100,000.
There's so many.
so
So
that
rather
is
do that
what-
one and get out.
No, and that's what a lot of people are getting wrong. And there's one saying that says that for every high return, the higher the return, the higher the risk.
Yes.
So if you expect to get 100% tomorrow on the money that I'm investing today, be ready to also
Ish.
lose the 100%. That is it. It's as simple as that. So for you that you are just starting, why not just be in a safer place that you can say, okay, I'm putting this 50,000
And my capital
and my
at least.
capital is preserved.
Yes.
And you necessarily don't need to have a lot of
Don't
money.
you see some
Like I
element
said,
of greed there?
yes, it is, absolutely. Absolutely. And I tell people that even at all you want to do a riskier investment, just make sure that you diversify. Don't put all your money there, because all your money can be gone in one
That was
day.
attractive.
It is, but you have to.
attractive.
You have to be, what do they call? You have to have what they call
Sensible.
a self-control. Like you
Self-control.
can't exactly. You can't say because I'm going to get 100% in this thing if I invest now and then you put everything there. No, that's being gullible, really. It is being gullible, and it
Gullible
just
is
shows
the
that
word.
you are not even an investor. Because for an investor, you
just a
understand
cowboy.
exactly. Thank you. That's the right word. Yeah, that is the right word. So, like I
Yes.
said, you don't need to have a fortune or to be a wealthy person, to be the Dangote of Nigeria or something before you can invest. I think that was last week I was reading something about real estate tokenization.
Yes.
And like, I know that real estate is one of the investment that if you don't have enough capital, you cannot enter,
can't
because you can't,
start.
if you want to buy a land, unless you want to go to, I don't know, maybe Ekpe or so, even Ekpe lands are, so like,
Even Ekpe is
yes,
very
unless you just want to go to Ondo State or all those places to
Somewhere.
buy, exactly, So now, it's become simpler, and that is also even after the introduction of mutual funds and all that. Real estate, tokenization is just talking about unitization of it as well.
Tokenization.
Yes, so like if they have like an investment of about maybe like a real estate of 100 million now, you have a lot of people, they unitize it.
Okay.
Okay, is it 1 million naira that you can afford that you
Bring
have?
it.
Bring it. You understand? So that is it. So it becomes simpler and affordable. So if you want to invest, irrespective of the level that you are, you can start.
But what happens to
But-
who owns the title? Who owns? I mean, like
Of
when
course,
the
there
we
will be
need to take a
legal,
break, I
yeah,
think.
there will be legal, all those legal papers and everything will be.
Helen, just
yeah,
when I was
I think he's enjoying the
beginning to
conversation.
enjoy this conversation.
No, I think we need to take a very quick break at this point in time.
Okay, we'll take a
Because
break.
there's need to allow people to internalize what we
Yeah,
have
sure.
processed, I mean, we've talked about so far. And so if you're ready, let's take a quick break. Our guest is still here. We will come back and there's more to learn from her. Please don't go away.
All right, so Helen, you stopped me short the other time.
I did.
So now, okay, let's turn our focus on family investment.
Okay.
You know, no doubt, this is taking that risk factor another step further, you know, to another level actually. This time, you're toying around, in quotes, with funds that don't belong to you as an individual. How do you justify investments to your family members?
Thank you. I think you've answered part of the question.
Okay.
And the first one is talking about the decentralizing the risk. So there's a risk factor already,
Yes.
which, you know, let's say that formerly was solely borne by one person. So now we've brought it to family investments. And now the risk now is being shared by the people, you know, that made up the
Make up.
family. Yeah. So it's being shared amongst them. So you've tried to just, you know, decentralize the risk. So you are not the only one carrying the risk now.
Okay.
Yeah. So now, then apart from that, when you're talking about family investment, it's also what do you want to achieve? I think also Ellie mentioned something about generational wealth transfer.
Wealth, yes.
You know, what do you want to, you know, like you want to ensure that this wealth that you have does not just stop with you as an individual. You want to pass it on to your generation. Your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, just like that. You know, that's why people consider family investment. And also, I think, you know, before, or even now, a lot of people still believe that if you're not rich, if you're not like the T.Y. Danjuma, the Dangote,
The Joneses.
exactly.
Let's just call all of them
Exactly.
Joneses.
Yeah, you cannot, you know, partake of whatever they call family investments and all that, because this elite or these wealthy people, they set up what they call family offices. They call it family offices. You see them, that everything, they put structure to it. They employ managers, wealth managers, financial planners, financial managers that do all this for them. They set it up like, you know, like a formal entity.
Helen, you
Yeah.
know about that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so, yeah. So, you know, that used to be, but, you know, you can start from somewhere. Even if you don't have up to what they have,
Yes.
the only thing is just that for your own, there might not be structure, which is one of the
It is the corner of your room.
disadvantages, exactly. But at least you can start from, you can take a step.
Makes sense,
Yeah,
really.
you can
It's
take
like
a
an
step.
administrative,
Exactly,
you know,
yeah.
for you to have a proper hang or hold
Yes,
on
exactly.
your family investment.
Okay, and as you're talking, I'm thinking there's been a lot of trouble amongst family members in terms of, you know, wealth, you know, sharing of wealth, especially when something goes wrong,
Okay.
you know. So how do you, what kind of investment really, now that we're talking family, would be able to help with situations like that, so that words, brothers, sisters, uncles, and all of that don't get to clash
They all have their lanes.
in terms of, you know, an
So they can
investment
keep to
that is
their lanes.
available? What's the advice from an expert like you?
Yeah, great. So there's what they call a family trust fund. I think that's, you know, that came to mind immediately. You mentioned that is to resolve the conflicts among family members, and, you know, like sometimes perhaps there could even be mismanagement. So if you set up a family trust fund, you know, you necessarily don't need to be rich or anything to set up. If you look for, well, perhaps you look for a trust company
Yes.
to actually do that for you. They set that up for you. And one beautiful thing about it is that whatever is in your, they call it deed of the deed, you know, you put all years of administration, you put everything how you want it to be. So perhaps if it was the father that had that money and he's trying to, okay, I need to do this, okay, I'm putting this all down for the whole family, for all my children, my wife, or in the case, the event that, you know, I'm no more and all that. If you set up a family trust and you engage a trust company to do that for you, they will do it perfectly well. Everything that you said that you want, okay, this amount should be for Moji, this amount should be for Ellen, this amount should be for John. And they set it up like that. Even while you are alive, they are growing that money for you. You are seeing it the way they are doing it. And if anything happens to you and you passed on, the same thing that you do, the same structure that you've had while you were alive, that's the same structure that will still be maintained when you are no more. Okay. So I think that immediately you spoke about conflict, that came to mind, and that is one critical thing that can actually solve that conflict amongst family, because it's registered. It's not just like I'm the ogaye or I'm the favorite child or something. Exactly. So the structure is there and it can be run like that.
I'm sorry, trust fund or no trust fund, in the family setup, the eldest is the eldest. The first male child is the first male child in some situations. And if you like, go and bring a model from America. The eldest will still come out and say, okay, now, my question is this way.
Yeah.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Okay.
Right. Usually the eldest in the family is, he bears...
he's superintendent over.
He bears the responsibility of managing matters such as this. What happens when he is no longer able to carry out certain functions? Let's set aside the issue of the formal structures that you've put.
Of the trust fund.
We know in our hearts that even some of those things are offset by traditional family.
Yeah, true.
So, okay, when we have such a situation, how do we move on?
Perhaps
the eldest probably doesn't even know how to.
They're trying to refer to because I know that there are some tribes here in and there are some tribes in Nigeria, especially the Igbos, that it's just the first. You have everything, if anything happens and all that. But I think we are gradually, or if not fully, out of it. I'm just saying because now I think we have more people that are. People are more informed now. Let me just put it that way. We are more informed, than what we used to be. So perhaps you are like 5 in a family. Yes, you are the first, but you have no understanding of whatever it takes to manage anything. So will I say because, daddy, you are my first, you are our first, I just take it, just do anything you like? No. I think things have gone beyond that.
So we still need to engage them.
Yeah.
Yes, even apart from engaging, you have some parts of some members of the family that, okay, perhaps maybe the person profession or maybe the course the person read has to do with something with accounting, with finance and all that. Definitely this person will assist you.
Yes.
It's not just about even growing the money, when it comes to also the tax administration and all that. Yes, when you see the return and all that. Yes, that this person is actually doing a good job. So if you don't have any knowledge and you're the one engaging with, perhaps, even if you're setting up a trust fund, you don't have any knowledge and you're the one, trying to speak with the trust company and all that. It's everything they tell you now. Exactly. They just tell you everything. I say, okay, sir, that's it. Then you go on. But if you have someone that is, at least a little bit, literate when it comes to financial, planning and all that, or maybe that even knows a bit of, accounting within the family, even if it's your last born, we just say, please come and handle this for us. Just supervise. You're not doing anything, just supervise. So I think we have actually grown, beyond saying that because you are the first child and you should take sole responsibility.
You don't want to believe her. That is what is happening. Society must make progress now, John. You want us to sit.
I want to believe her.
You want us to sit in the days of our grandfathers and all that.
We
I agree.
We are millennials, Gen Z.
Exactly. And I'm taking this conversation to the millennial age. I read in papers a lot now on the social media about children who are doing some crazy things to their parents, brothers, sisters, estates, because they want to take over, or because they have seen some opening somewhere and they think that once they eliminate their parents, the things are available to them. You know, so let's imagine we're looking for a way out of that, seeking to pass assets to the younger generation. So they see that my father is also thinking about me in terms of investment. Something is there for me. You know, he has my good interests at heart and all of that. So we can avoid some of these things. What is the viable option in terms of investment that we can do for our younger generation? Like, I want to invest for my son or my daughter, you know, who is in his or her early 20s. And I want them to be aware that I'm not just, okay, maybe earlier than that I'm not just sitting on whatever wealth I have. I am also thinking, I have you in mind, you have something already. What is the best option?
Oh, great. So I think when we want to consider that, we should now be thinking long term, basically. We have to think long term if that is the case. You know, you want to invest for your children, and you naturally don't want them to have this kind of entitlement mentality that, oh, mommy is keeping something for me and all that. And, you know, yeah, I have some clients like that they will tell you that I don't even want my child to know about this thing that we are doing for them, you know, because once they know, of course, like you said, God forbid, some might just want to eliminate it. And you will know that if you eliminate, it's not, you will not necessarily even get anything directly and all that or immediately. So yeah, you have to think long term, and part of investment consideration for long term is, you know, you can buy stocks of, you know, there are some stocks that they call value stocks and some stocks that are growth, you know, stocks. So when you are looking at value stocks, you know, looking at a company that you know that, yes, irrespective, there is what they call a constant dividend coming in and all that. You've already set up an account for the child. As the dividends are coming, they're entering those accounts. And there are some stocks also that you invest in that, you know that, oh, this is just for growth. Of course, the child is not having access to it now. This company has potential, is growing. Let me buy it. The stock might even be ₦1 today. And you just, you know, you have speculated that in the next 10 years, 15 years, perhaps by that time the child will have been in the university, or perhaps might have even gotten married. You know, you look at that, oh, if I buy these shares at, you know, 10 naira now, by then perhaps it will be 50 naira, 60, 100 naira. You know that, you know, it has grown over time. Then people also do, you know, trust fund, like education trust fund also for children. I know, yes, that's also common, that you be putting some amount every year into the fund, you know, and when the child gets to the university, perhaps you want the child to study abroad or to go to a private university in Nigeria and all that, and you know that if you wait till that time, you won't be able to afford it. So you start now and start setting some, you know, some funds which will be actively invested, you know, like you have a return, perhaps maybe like 16%, a return that will even beat the inflation and all that, irrespective of, you know, how high the inflation will become. You know, you are setting this aside. And by the time the child, you know, is grown enough, or the right time for the child to utilize that fund, you know, it will have become substantial. And, you know, so those are at least.
That's what you mean by compounding interest.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. So, yes, that's about compounding
Okay, now you've said so much, and you know the producer is always in this habit of catching us when we are just getting into it.
Yeah, so let me quickly
ask you: if someone walked in now, you know, and this discussion on
what's it
investing
about?
now, could you just tell us to put in place a risk-free investment policy? Yeah.
Okay.
Or initiative.
Okay.
What should we look for? Maybe a couple of steps.
Risk-free.
Yes.
No risks at all. What really is possible? No, it's possible actually. Or minimal risk. Okay, so if you want a risk-free return, so that means you are not looking at something that, you know, well, that
Keep
the
your
return
money
will be
under
so
your bed.
much. No,
Okay,
you can't.
yeah.
If you invest in treasury bills, any government instrument is risk-free, actually.
Okay.
If you invest in treasury bills, I will give you 4%. Of course, you will get the 4%. It's
Because-
risk-free. Nothing will happen to your money. Even if anything happens, Nigeria, maybe by this time
Before
your
Nigeria
funds,
collapses, you would
no,
have
it's
removed
not.
your money.
Even maybe by the time your
I will not see
investment
that
matures and
happening anyway.
the country is saying they don't have it, they will go to CBN and print money now and pay you. So that's risk-free. Yeah, you can.
So what are the other things that we should look for? I mean, like generally, if we
Yeah,
want
if
to-
somebody wants
want to-
onto the show
we
now,
want to get
hasn't
onto
heard all the things
investing
we've been talking.
right.
Okay.
Basic.
So, like I rightly stated when we're starting, once you want to start investing, you don't need to have so much money to start investing. That one is very critical. And I tell people when they come to me and tell me that I have some money in savings accounts in the bank, excuse me, what's the money doing there? You will pay charges and you will not be paid anything. So instead of you putting your 20,000, 10,000 naira
In the savings, why don't you
in a
invest
savings,
it?
why not just put money in
Well,
mutual
I can't
funds?
call it anytime something.
You can actually, you can. Like I think I said it in passing that, okay, there are so many companies, of course, that have what is called mutual funds and all that now. FBN Quest, they even have what they call HAB. That you can use to redeem the money at any time that you want to redeem, you understand? And also put money into the fund anytime that you want to. But one good thing is that, like, for instance, a mutual fund currently is returning about 9%. Even if you have 10,000 naira in your mutual fund, you will get 9% return. So why would you keep your money in an account that is yielding you nothing? It's not giving you anything. Rather, you're even paying SMS charge, transfer charge, those cash handling and all that. So why would you do that? So irrespective of then, another thing is that just like every other thing that you want to do in life, like you have a personal goal, a family goal, you should also have a financial goal. You want to start investing. What are your goals? In the next 5 years, how much do you want to have, in this portfolio if you start now?
Yes.
Then also consider the risks too. What level of risks can you take on now? Can you take so much
you talked about
risks
that.
or you
That's,
cannot? Exactly.
Risk tolerance.
Yes, risk tolerance, exactly. Then also look at the asset also that you want to put into that portfolio. And we spoke about diversification.
Yes.
That is very important. You spoke about risk-free. Risk-free is good. Your money is safe. But do you want to just be moving like a snail? Like your investment portfolio to just be returning 4% in a year?
The
No.
money becomes useless within
Exactly.
1 to
So
3
if you,
years.
yeah, exactly. So if you put some in
Value-wise.
that treasury bills or government securities, and you put some in equity, you put some in real estate, you put some in mutual fund, you even buy gold. We talked about buying gold.
That's the
gold
one that
and all that.
attracted me the other
And it's good. It's a good investment. Myself and my friend were discussing about it 2 weeks ago. And she was telling me that, she does that so well, She has money, she puts it and all that. The only risk of that one is that if you don't keep it very well and someone else sees it, perhaps maybe you just look for, there's some people that run safe keep and all that, you just keep your money, keep your gold and all that, and you know that, yes, in a vault or something and that is safe. So those are just, the few things that you need to consider.
Yeah.
Then also always look for, at least to an extent, an investment that can actually beat the inflation. Even if not totally, there are some few good companies that issue commercial papers now, because after they've looked at the risk-free return, they put their own risk premium and also on it, and perhaps it's getting to almost 15, 12, 13%. It's better than, just saying that all your portfolio should be in a treasury bills.
The word risk has popped up more than every other word.
Oh, yes,
It
right.
is.
Life itself
It's
is a
about
risk.
risk and return, actually.
It's about
Risk and return.
Okay.
While I was sorry, Helen, while I was researching for this, I just thought to myself, okay, if a family decides to do an investment, it's like running a business.
True, absolutely.
family.
Yeah, we talk about family
Okay, so I
business.
went to the bank and I said, okay, if we want to open a family account, how do we go about it? Well, it's either you open a joint account or you open a business account. For the joint account, you bring marriage certificate and
Is this for real or you're just...
for real, I'm telling you,
Okay.
Helen. For business account, you will bring your company's whatever. I
registration,
said,
blah, blah, blah.
but I can't marry my brother now. That we want to open a family account. Give me the forms. I went to 2 banks. They didn't have it. So, why?
So, absolutely, that is correct. And I will tell you the reason
It's
why.
correct.
Of course,
You
it has to
confirm
be
that
like
it's
that.
correct?
Yeah, of course, because it's very obvious.
Yeah.
Your family, the one you want to, is it registered?
Is my family registered?
Yes.
No,
Your
it's
family
not a
is not
business now.
registered.
You
Okay.
can't, if you say you are going to a
Okay.
bank to open such
Can
account,
we
so then you have
physically
to look
present
at,
ourselves there as family members?
you have to look at a joint account, really.
That's what they gave me.
Yeah,
They gave me joint account.
That is what you will do. So another
the only
option
option.
is that family trust I spoke about.
Okay.
Once it is a trust that is being set up, they will register it like a business. They will say maybe it's a John family and co and all that.
Estate.
Then that exactly, thank
Yes.
you. And they can give you a corporate account for that. Then you put your family name and all that. But when it comes to you going to, just want to open an account and all that,
Yes.
definitely it has to be a joint account.
Wow.
I was surprised it wasn't existent.
Well, that's the rule, John. Go and study more. You find other options. Right?
Okay.
Thank you. This has been really
Wow.
interesting. We've learned a lot from this conversation
Yes,
this morning.
sure have.
Starting young and early, with no matter how small the amount is, like you said, is the secret to seeing solid returns on money, especially with compound earnings, which allows your account from, like you said, to snowball over time, while helping us beat the beast that is called inflation. Because if we don't beat inflation while you're saving, then eventually you'll go bankrupt.
Yes.
And that's not what we want for the
Absolutely.
family. That's why we're having this show. So thank you so much.
And the lesson here is that don't sit on your earnings. Right?
Yeah.
Get started right away, and
yeah.
we're sure you will thank us for it.
Yes. So
So we're grateful for your time, Moji.
Thank you.
I honestly hope that we can
Have
get you
again.
back here again.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
The show is today with John and Helen. It's live, and we move on to the Keep Fit segment with Dolly, Keep Fit instructor. Farah Shonuga will also be joined by our guest, Patience Keru, who will be talking to us about understanding your money mindset.
Okay.
So the fitness segment is up next with Dolly. Stay with us.